So last class we ended our discussion on tissue fluids, and today we have to start from arterioles, shunt vessels, and venules. And then we'll move on to your blood. Let's finish this chapter today, inshallah, because it has been going on for long. Okay, let's start our discussion from arterioles, shunt vessels, and venules. Arterioles. Shunt vessels and venules. Okay. So small arteries and arteries, they basically have less elastic tissue and more muscle fiber, obviously, than your great arteries, larger arteries. So small arteries and arterioles. And arterioles have less elastic tissue and more muscle fiber than the great arteries. Okay. So when your muscle fiber of the arterioles, they contract, okay, so they make the vessels, they constrict them, okay, they make them narrow and restrict the blood flow, that is called vasoconstriction. Okay, so when muscle fiber of arterioles contract, fibers of the arterioles contract, vessels become narrow and blood flow is restricted. And blood flow is restricted. So then what happens? This is called vasoconstriction. On the other hand, yeah, we are basically talking about vasoconstriction, right? Okay. So due to this, the distribution of blood to different parts of the body can be regulated. Okay, so by this, distribution of blood to different parts of the bodies can be regulated. Can be regulated. Okay, so shunt vessels. Let's reshare this. One second. Yes, Sumar, we are continuing a previous chapter. Sorry, I just saw your. I can't see the chart. I have to come back to the chart. Yes, we are continuing chapter 9. Okay, so it can be regulated. Shunt vessels link the arterioles with venules. So they dilate to allow the blood to bypass capillaries. Shunt vessels that are basically linking arterioles with venules dilate to allow blood to bypass capillaries. Look, it looks like this. Look at this in cold conditions. This is a venule, this is an arteriole. Okay. Shunt vessel is dilated to divert the blood away from your capillary. It's not flowing towards near the surface of the skin, it's going away. I mean, it's bypassing it. Is this clear how this is happening?
Miss, can you explain what you wrote using the background?
Shunt vessels?
Yes.
Okay. See, shunt vessel is basically a vessel that is, present to bypass the capillaries that are passing near the surface of the skin. So in cold conditions, what happen? See, if blood will flow towards like near your skin, heat will be lost, right? And we need to preserve heat, right? In summers, your blood passes near the surface of your skin from your capillaries. Why is that? Because we need the heat to escape, right? So vasodilation takes place. The capillaries are dilated. But in winters or in cold conditions, obviously we need the heat. Okay. We have to conserve the energy, conserve heat as well. Right? So that is done by bypassing the blood. Okay, it's not flowing near the surface of the skin, it's just flowing under it and it's just going from the shunt vessel directly from arteriole to venule with bypassing the capillary. Without moving to the capillary, it's going from arteriole to venule. Is there a
Yes.
okay, anyone else any questions?
Why isn't there any damage to the skin cells?
Why will they be damaged to skin cells?
They will
See,
receive
it is
less nutrients.
no, it's not about that. The point is if it's flowing away from, it's not like no blood is going. We are just preventing, we're trying to prevent heat loss from blood. Okay. We said less blood flow. There's no blood flow. Okay, it says less blood flow in capillaries. Okay, is this clear?
Clear, thank you.
No problem. Okay, now let's talk about the blood. So blood is a transport medium. It consists of RBCs, WBCs, and platelets which are floating in a liquid called plasma. WBCs, WBCs, platelets, platelets, which are floating in a liquid called plasma. Alright. Let's start a discussion from RBCs. Okay. Red blood cells are basically tiny discs like biconcave shaped cells. Disc like tiny biconcave shaped cells. Do not contain a nucleus. No nucleus. Let's just say this way. They are made up of spongy cytoplasm. Okay, that is enclosed in an elastic cell wall. Okay, in the cytoplasm is the red pigment that is called your hemoglobin. Hemoglobin. So hemoglobin is a protein that is combined with iron. It's a protein in nature. Combined with iron. Hemoglobin combines with oxygen. Combines with oxygen and in places where basically there's high concentration of oxygen to form oxyhemoglobin. So hemoglobin combines with oxygen where there's higher concentration of oxygen, obviously. To form oxyhemoglobin. This oxyhemoglobin is basically an unstable compound. Alhamdulillah. And it breaks down and releases oxygen in places where oxygen concentration is low. This is an unstable compound. And it breaks down and releases oxygen in places where oxygen concentration is low. Clear? Lifespan is about 4 months of RBC is about 4 months. Okay. Graveyard of RBC is the spleen. And how is it broken down? Your red hemoglobin changes to a yellow pigment that is called bilirubin, which is excreted in the bile. Okay, so red hemoglobin changes to a yellow pigment. That is Bilirubin. No, it's for red blood cells specifically, Zoya. It's the graveyard of RBCs. Okay. Yellow pigment, bilirubin. Okay, so this is excreted in the bile. And iron from hemoglobin is stored in the liver. Okay, whatever is left off. Okay, now it can also bind with the carbon dioxide to form carboxyhemoglobin. Carbon dioxide also combines with hemoglobin. Let's take it that way. Combines with hemoglobin to form carboxyhemoglobin. One sec. Yes, sorry. I was saying carbon dioxide combines with hemoglobin to form carboxyhemoglobin. Okay, there was a question that asked where all the red cells stored. So what is the answer to that? Dead cells are stored in lysosomes. Okay, because over there they are broken down for use. Okay, phagocytes or WBCs engulf the dead cells and transport them to lysosomes. Okay, is this clear? Sir? Okay, and what are they forming? They are forming your carboxyhemoglobin. Okay, and not all carbon dioxide can basically combine with hemoglobin, so most of it dissolves in the plasma and is transported out of the body. Okay, only a few, very less percentages, transported with combined with hemoglobin. Most of it is dissolved in plasma as well. All right. Okay, let's talk about WBCs. WBCs we're going to talk about in detail in your immunity chapter. So there are two types, phagocytes and lymphocytes that produce antibodies. Astaghfirullah. Lymphocytes produce antibodies. Phagocytes perform phagocytosis. Okay, they engulf the pathogens. Phagocytes carry out phagocytosis. Okay, and this is what engulfing of pathogen. Lymphocytes secrete antibodies. Okay, we're going to talk about them in detail, inshallah, in the immunity chapter. Last is your platelets. Platelets are not exactly cells; they are basically, small fragments of large cells that helped in blood clotting. Okay, small fragments of large cells that help in blood clotting. So blood plasma basically contains a soluble protein that is called fibrinogen. I talk about fibrinogen that is in your blood plasma. Okay, this is in your blood plasma. Okay, and it is soluble in nature. So whenever your skin is cut, blood vessel is broken. Platelets release a substance that converts fibrinogen into fibrin. Fibrin is insoluble. This fibrin forms fibers that pile up on top of one another to make a mesh-like structure that helps to seal the wound. Okay, it forms a mesh-like network. Okay, so obviously, if you are sealing the wound, then your red blood cells get trapped in the mesh. Okay, platelets will also, get trapped. Nothing will escape. Obviously, if you're forming a seal, okay, the wound is sealed. Okay, platelets stick together to form clumps as well. Okay, and all of these form a blood clot. Is this clear?
Miss, can you repeat what you said after fibrin?
After fibrin? Okay. See, fibrin is insoluble, right? So it will not dissolve. But this fibrin will form fibers. Okay, like if this is fibrin, they start to form fibers and that start to pile up on top of one another. Okay. That basically forms a mesh-like network and this helps to seal the wound. Okay, if you see your scab that it forms, okay, this is what is that it is. Okay, and obviously if it's sealed, okay, this is what the place where you got hurt, and if this is sealed, do you think red blood cells or platelets are gonna come out? Anything is gonna come out? Blood, nothing is gonna come out, right? So this is how it seals it, and then what happens? Your platelets stick together, form clumps. Okay, basically a blocking of the wound. Okay, and then that forms a blood clot. Is this clear? Okay, next of you, any questions? Anyone?
Is blood plasma just water?
Blood plasma, it contains other substances as well, red blood cells, many proteins are also there. Okay, if I tell you the exact composition of blood plasma, protein, salts, mainly water. Okay, that's what we're saying. 92% it's water, but rest of it you have proteins. All of these fibrin. Where are these coming from? Globulin, albumin. All of these are basically proteins that are present in the blood plasma. Yes, rest of you clear.
Clear.
Ibrahim, Ahmed, Ayla.
Clear.
Ayla, clear. Abdul Basit.
Yes, clear.
Okay, great. So please note this down and then we're going to start off with the new chapter. Start from here and then let me know when to scroll down. Okay, rest of you done? Everyone's done?
Yes.
Alright, let me scroll down. So this is the red blood cells and the white blood cells, platelets. Okay, note this down, please. Okay, I'll wait another minute and then move on. Okay, rest of everyone's done.
I'm done.
Okay. Ayla and Ibrahim, Ahmed, Basit. I believe everyone's done. So let's start off with the next chapter, that is your diseases and immunity, chapter number 10.
Miss, do we have loop of Hanel in our syllabus? In excretion chapter.
Lubavelle, not in detail. You just need to know what, like, it's just the part that, just know the name of it. Not in detail.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, chapter 10, diseases and immunity. Diseases and immunity. Okay, first topic is your transmission of pathogen. Yes, one by one, tell me what is a pathogen. How would you define a pathogen? Yes. Yes, one by one. Anyone can start. I will ask everyone, so it doesn't matter.
Disease-carrying organism.
Okay, very good. Anyone else? Is there any different definition?
Miss, any bacteria which causes a disease?
Only bacteria or any microorganism? Anything?
Any microorganism.
Very good. Anyone else who would like to add anything? Everyone is on the same page, right? So, because this is what exactly a pathogen is. It's a microorganism that causes disease, right? Microorganism that causes disease. Okay, it can be anything. It can be bacteria, virus, fungi, protococcus, whatever. Okay, so many diseases are caused by pathogens that get into our bodies and breed there. And a person or another animal in which the pathogen lives and breeds is called a host. Okay, like we are host cell if a bacteria is coming and living in us and breeding in us. Okay, breeding in ourselves, obviously. Okay, there are two types of diseases. Okay, diseases that are caused by pathogens, they can be passed from one person to another. Okay, so they are called as transmissible disease or infectious diseases. Others are non-infectious. So diseases can either be infectious. Basically, we'll talk about infectious disease. So let's stick to infectious diseases. Diseases cannot be passed from one person to another. From one person to another. Transmissible or infectious diseases. Or infectious diseases. And some pathogens basically cause harm to cells and body systems by producing waste products that are called toxins. So they harm cells by producing toxins. Okay, so this spreads around the body and causes symptoms. For instance, high temperature and rashes. So symptoms are whatever you are feeling. Diagnosis is what doctors will diagnose at what exactly is happening to you. Why is it happening? Symptoms are what you are feeling. You will say, I have fever, I have flu, I have body pain, whatever your symptoms are. Okay. If I talk about entry of pathogens into the body. Entry of pathogens in the body. So movement of pathogen from one host to another is called transmission. Okay, I just told you transmission, when they're infectious disease or transmissible disease. And entry of pathogen into the body is known as infection. Entry of pathogen into body. In the body. Let's make it into the body. Into the body is called infection, or is known as infection, whatever you want to call it. It's called an infection. And transmission, I told you, it's when it's transferred from one host to another. Okay, that is your transmission. It's called an infection. And there are several ways in which transmission and infection can occur. So they can occur either by transmission and infection. Number one, by direct contact. Number two, by indirect contact. Number one, you have direct contact. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. Let me reshare it. Direct contact. Second is indirect contact. One second. Indirect contact. Let's talk about both of these. Direct contact is when some pathogen, when they pass from one person to another. When there's direct contact between an infected person and an uninfected person. Now, transmission of pathogen. When there is direct contact. An infected person and an uninfected person. Uninfected, sorry. HIV. Fungus that causes skin infection, like athlete's foot, ringworm, all of these can be caused by direct contact. Indirect contact. Most pathogens are transmitted indirectly. Let's talk about them. So, how can this happen? There are a number of ways. So, this can occur, or it can happen through. This can occur by this can, sorry. Firstly, breathing in droplets containing pathogen. Containing pathogen. Touching a surface that contains pathogen, that someone with pathogen is touched. So touching a surface, let's say touching a contaminated surface. Touching a surface contaminated with pathogen. Again, however, it got contaminated is obviously when the infected person touched it. Contaminated with pathogen. Third, eating food or drinking water that contains pathogens. Second, sorry. I don't know what's wrong with this. Eating food or drinking water that contains pathogens. Contact with animals that are carrying pathogens. Very important. Is everyone clear? Any questions? Yes. Anyone? Any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, please note this down and we'll talk about our body defenses quickly. How can we come in contact with animals that infect us? Um, let's say, a lot of animal skin contains pathogens. Okay. Or if let's say cow is contaminated and you're drinking or drinking its milk, eating its meat. Okay. And if I tell you about HIV, exactly. HIV was not the disease of humans. Okay. Um, HIV basically, okay, fine, I'll explain to it this way. See, HIV, it's not something that was a human disease. Okay. HIV was a disease in chimpanzees. Okay. It was called simian immunodeficiency virus. Okay. It's found in chimpanzees. Okay. And it was transmitted from chimpanzees to humans. Okay. So just like that, you can come into contact with animals. Yes, basically it started from monkeys, chimpanzees basically. And then humans contacted it. Monkeys, chimpanzees, that's what they say.
Just touching chimpanzees causes HIV.
No, HIV is not HIV is not caused by touching. HIV is caused by when your bodily fluids come into contact, or blood transfusion, or from mother to child during birth. Okay, so body fluids came into contact. So now see, this is what can I say? This is actually controversial, right? But I'll tell you, okay. But as of what we have studied and all, that there were some people from US. Okay, I mean, they said, at times there were some people who say that it came from Central Africa, somewhere there. Okay, some people they said it was from spread from US, like people from US. Okay, so a lot of stories are there over the internet. Okay, and again, it's a controversial matter. I'm not saying anything against anyone. Okay, uh, point is that what we have heard is that